Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where in the world you're at. I'm Kevin Koym, and welcome back to the Venture Outfitter Weekly. Excited. We were just having a really great conversation in our audience beforehand. You're always welcome to join us, like in the kind of the studio part, is because there's a lot of interaction that we're not publishing out, but I always appreciate the interaction that happens in our community. Today, we're back for the Venture Outfitter, but we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening, what's been happening over the last few weeks. The company DualWorks, I always like to plug them. This is where we office in Austin, Texas. If you're looking for a point of presence in Austin, they really go out of their way for taking care of entrepreneurs, especially we have a number of entrepreneurs. As an example, one of our entrepreneurs from Mexico has just a mailbox here. You can go all the way to getting a really large office here, and so take advantage of it. If you're going to be doing presentations as well, one of the things that's been happening is they give really great discounts to TechRanch members for just like, if you need a boardroom or a conference room or something like that. So take advantage of it. One of the things that we'll do though is I want to go ahead and tell you what's coming soon. Next week, during this time, and actually during the whole day of May 12th, there's going to be the Texas EU Summit. And during this 11 o'clock slot, we're going to go over more details about what's been happening between Texas and Central Europe. We're going to go into more depth about giving you an update about the Texas-Hungary Venture Bridge. And because we've been working with the Czech, and that's right next door, I'm sure that we'll have a few threads that will be coming out of what's happening in the Czech Republic. But today's program is really focused on the Czech Republic, but it's exciting to see all the Central European activity because this is creating a base for what's coming. It's interesting enough, TechRanch is going to be hosting a group of business partners from Uzbekistan. And you might say, Uzbekistan, what's happening? If long-term you're committed to open societies, free markets, entrepreneurship, personal autonomy, the way to drive those issues is through business, and one of the best ways is being connected. So part of what we're going to be doing, the May 17th program is specifically focused on Uzbekistan. We are hosting over the next, in May, other people from all the following countries. You already know about some of the activities we're doing concerning Ukraine and Armenia, because I reported on them last time. But then we will have students and entrepreneurs from these other countries as well that are going to be plugging in. If you're interested in being a part of that conversation, a lot of times when I brought up the country of Moldova, which right next to Ukraine, these were conversations that we had started before the war and all that sort of stuff. But the war really brings it into frame. That have you ever heard of the McDonald's theory? That typically, now this is broken because of what's happening with the war between Russia and Ukraine, but typically the McDonald's theory is that two countries that have McDonald's never go to war against each other. Now, that rule was true since World War II and all that sort of stuff. It's interesting. One of my theories and the theory of change we talked about last time is by being connected, we can create business relationships that create long-term opportunity. I'll give more examples about that, but if you have interest, some of these entrepreneurs that are coming from these other countries, a lot of times it could be that we have Moldovans that connect in with our Czech entrepreneurs that do projects for our, here in the United States, or some mix, who knows? It'll end up being interesting to see what happens out of that. But that's coming soon. And if you have interest, make sure that you message me, or actually message in the Slack channels about this, because we'll be bringing more activity up soon. The Venture Outfitter subscription, we have so much stuff you can just do for free in the community, but if you want to get more involved, as an example, yesterday we had a training session with some of our Venture Outfitter companies that are at that network level, which we did drop the cost, $50 a month. It's now just $49 a month. It used to be $99 a month. The whole idea about this is to have a practice group that you can interact with. And the practice group, as an example, what we did yesterday, we went over Lean Startup Canvas and how do you build a market hypothesis for entry. What happens is we have a learning management system that we have, stored classes on that sort of stuff like that. So once you pay just this little fee, and we'll make special really arrangements for if you're in a country that the cost of living is significantly different than the United States. This is our target price for the US. But the thing that's interesting about this is this gives you access to a practice group to go, if you're not ready for one of our coaching programs or higher level programs. If you're interested, ask more. Best place to ask those questions will be in the Venture Outfitter channel on Slack. And so all that was a mouthful to really get to this question about what's been happening with the Brno Bridge. Most of you know that I just got back late Saturday night. Still recovering, it seems like, as I woke up this morning at 5 o'clock in the morning, which everyone knows that I'm not a morning person. So when am I up at 5? But I'm still jet lagged from being in the Czech Republic this last week. But we have a special program today to talk a little bit more about this in depth. So this was a U.S. market entry program between the Texas-Czech Venture Bridge. And I do want to say thank you to the U.S. Embassy in Prague, because they are responsible for funding this work alongside with our partners at the JIC. Today, we're going to hear from one of the managers of JIC that actually made the whole process very fun and stuff like that. In fact, I have some photos of some of the different interactions of getting to know one of the grant coordinators, Susanna, who I think might join us today, as well as just the overall team. And, this work, especially when there's so many things happening, so many meetings happening in such a short period of time. Monica and I actually had quite a lot of activity happen in such a short period of time. It was really cool, though, to have such a warm reception from our partners at JIC. And so Monica went on. Monica, as you know, is a branding and marketing expert based here in Austin, Texas. She's a mentor for, I think, at least 7 different accelerators in town. She's also a friend of mine. And the thing that's interesting is she brought a lot of the marketing insight. She really has done a lot of activities. She ran a company that was multi-million-dollar marketing agency years ago, has a lot of insight about this. And so she's joined TechCrunch as our head of education and partnerships. And she's going to be doing that for a period of time as we get a mental health accelerator started that will be coming at some point in the future, and we'll announce more about that. But it was great to have her on the project. And while we're there, one of the key people that was administrating or managing the overall project and all the different parts of the project is Monica. And Monica, I'm not even going to, I don't want to mispronounce your last name. So in a little bit, I want to ask you to just tell me. But we'll be hearing for her. We have a few slides she's going to go over. Then we're going to go over some of the companies that we interacted with in depth. We interacted with about 42 total startups across the board, and then 8 in depth. And we'll hear a little bit about that. And we'll even hear for some of the entrepreneurs that are from those companies. But why don't I do this? I'm going to stop share, and I'll ask Monica. First off, before we go into your slides, welcome. And first off, correct my pronunciation before I screw up your name. Tell me how to say it correctly. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll hop into your slides. Also, I see Susanna is with us as well, so we'll have her say hello as well. Thank you, Monica, for being here today.
Thank you, Kevin. It was really a pleasure having you and Monica in Brno. And don't worry about my surname, because I think it's enough to remember that my name is Monica and I'm from JIC, the Czech Republic, because I understand it's quite hard to pronounce our surnames.
No,
Yeah.
but
So
tell us anyway, just because I got to work on it anyway.
okay. So my name is Monika Brbkova. And I don't think that that you will remember it. But anyway, as for my background, as I already mentioned, I work for JIC and I lead a small team that supports entrepreneurs to access private and public funding. And my colleague Zuzana, who really made a lot of work on this project, would be also great if she introduces herself.
Please. Yeah, Susanna, please join us. Thank you for joining us this evening. Or for those of y'all that don't know the time change, I think it's around 6:16 in the afternoon or the evening in Brno. Susanna.
Yeah, hi everybody. My name is Zuzana Hadashova, and I'm a part of the financing support team for the entrepreneurship. So, as Monika said, I was.
Up, you just went on mute, by the way, Susanna.
I'm sorry. As Monika said, I was also in charge. I was in charge in the Tech Branch project, and I'm also in charge of the prototype and validate project. That is, and I have two more kids here apart from my two. So sorry. And the prototype and validate program is a grant scheme that I'm in charge of in Brno, and tomorrow there is a deadline for all the projects, and these are the projects that are needs financing for the prototyping phase of their product life cycle. So just in a nutshell what I do, and then I probably handle over to Monika.
Perfect. Thank you for being here today. And as well, to Susanna's credit, she was amazing in the fact that she actually coordinated all the activities behind the scenes and she made the whole process for Monica Paredes and myself, as the delegation visiting, she made it just absolutely easy. So thank you for that, Monica. And thank you for taking time from family time as well to join us this evening. So back to Monika Verbola. I think only when I was having like the Slivonica, which is the Czech drink, I could actually get a little bit of the Czech accent right. I'll keep on working on that. But Monika, tell us a little bit more about the JIC and the mission and things like that.
Right. JIC is a public innovation agency. We were founded almost 20 years ago, and our main mission is to support entrepreneurship in the region. So that's what we do, and that is also what I would like to cover using my slides, if you can allow so.
I think you can see them now, hopefully.
Right. So that's where we are located. JIC is based in Brno, the second largest city in the Czech Republic, in the very heart of Europe. As I already mentioned, we have almost 20 years of experience in supporting entrepreneurs on their way from the start to the growth phase and scaling. If you can move to the second slide. Yes, this slide basically illustrates the three main roles we have. The first one is to really empower people to do business. The second one is coordination of the regional innovation strategy and also implementing some of its measures. We are not alone in our regional innovation ecosystem. And the third one is supporting development of the local innovation ecosystems and engagement of all players that contribute or are part of this ecosystem, of this whole thing. Right. So on the next slide, I would like to summarize who we work with. We work with individuals, so we try to wake up the entrepreneurial spirit in young people, especially students. We also work with any other people that would like to start up their own business. We also work with startups and also with already established growing companies up to the level of so-called ecosystem champions, which are companies that have reached the stage of maturity where they can give back to the innovation ecosystems. They, for example, mentor our startups, provide inspirational talks, etc. So as you can imagine, we work with very broad portfolio of entities or individuals, companies, and we provide them with different services. Those at the bottom level are done in let's say in larger groups, and if we go up to the upper level, then it tends to be more individual. And on my fourth slide, I would like to briefly sum up the joint cooperation with Kevin and with TechCrunch, which was initiated back in 2017 when my colleague David met Kevin during this IVLP visit. And this visit was followed up by another visit of a larger group of people from our region in 2018. And that time we decided it would be great to follow up on these meetings and to foster our cooperation with the overall goal to support our clients, mainly startups, scale-ups, in getting ready for global expansion, with focus, of course, on the US market, but not only. And that time we applied, as Kevin mentioned, for this grant, which provided the US Embassy. And we took this opportunity to arrange this one intensive week where Kevin and Monica visited Brno and also Prague, and as Kevin mentioned, I hope we didn't tire you too much. You met a lot of people from entrepreneurs, from people who are thinking of starting their expansion to the US market, with entrepreneurs who already are expanding and have some activities there. Also with students, with people from universities. There is a picture at the left bottom with rector of Brno University of Technology and the dean of the Faculty of Information Technology. You discussed support of spin-off companies there, and also with people from other innovation centers in the Czech Republic, because it's quite interesting that the JIC initiated and coordinates this network of Czech innovation agencies that cover more than half of the Czech region, and also with other people. So I think it was very intensive week, and there will be definitely follow on those one-to-one meetings with 8 selected companies that we identified as those that have the highest potential to benefit from tighter cooperation with Kevin, with TechCrunch, with his colleagues. So that's probably what happened. Kevin also visited the Czech the investment and business a business agency of the Czech Republic, the US Embassy, etc. Many other people. And maybe I would like to share some takeaways from that week, because what I see as very important is that we managed to wait really for this physical meeting, because we already planned this visit for 2019. And then the COVID came, and we had to postpone it for another year. And I think it really paid off, because what was very important is to not only to understand, but to experience the cultural differences that are there, because this I perceive as the major kind of element in doing something together. So Kevin and Monica, they had the chance to really see how maybe different we are, how differently we think, and we maybe present what we want to do. And that also is related to the fact that being challenged is also a good thing, because I remember from those workshops that Kevin and Monica did a great job, that they really made it interactive, and they challenged our entrepreneurs a lot, and they are not used to it. And I think it's really good that they could experience this different approach, and also to experience that that sharing is really important to get valuable feedback, not only from Kevin and Monica, but from all the people that were in the room, which also our entrepreneurs are not used to share a lot. So that was also an important element, that they could experience this in real situation, and they were not ready for that. They were not warned in advance. And maybe some of them, they expected to get some kind of manual how to expand to the US. But overall, I think that the main benefit was really to look at what they do from different perspective. That's what I took as the main kind of points for myself. So I hope it was also taken by them. And I would like to ask Kevin to mention some of the companies he met, and if possible.
Yeah, well, so what we'll do is we'll go through. I mean, I want to reflect on what Monica's saying first, and then what we'll do is we're going to go through 8 of the companies that you're going to hear a lot more about. And Monica Bredes and I will both share. She was mentioning a while ago that she was having a little bit of internet connection problems. So we'll have, both of us will actually go through the 8. But the first thing I want to say is JIC is just amazing. One of the things that's just amazing about this is I was absolutely envious by the amount of collaboration. You know, I get to see a lot of different places across the world, and everyone that's in the community and everyone that's like getting to hear. I get to travel a lot, except for the COVID times. I got to travel a lot. And the thing that I really admire about what they've created in Brno that makes it so special is they've created this very, very, very collaborative conversation among the 4 universities that are in Brno, among a lot of the companies that have already scaled up and that are, billion-dollar companies, $100 million companies, among the entrepreneurs that have ventures that have already emerged to like the $10 to $50 million level. And then among the scale-ups that we interacted with, some of them that had, $5 million annual recurring revenue up to $10 million, like true scale-ups. And then all the way down to the entrepreneurial level. And, you guys that know me from the community, the thing that Monica's talking about, that the guy at the front of the room, or woman or man at the front of the room, the quote unquote expert, doesn't always have the answer, right? Many times the expert's not the guy with the right answer. It's actually the community, right? That's partially what we're here to do. We did have some fun in one of the conversations, especially where we had, I think, about 30 entrepreneurs from university level and emerging startups, and decided to run it in a very different way. Any of y'all that have been a part of a campfire, essentially, it was essentially the process that happens around a Tech Ranch campfire. But it was real excited and very different than just, anyone can watch a YouTube video and hear, okay, point 1 is this, point 2 is this. And we're like, okay, let's change that up. And Monica and I both, really help tease out the wisdom that's, you've heard of the notion, the wisdom of the crowd. One of the things that we want to make sure to keep on presencing in the Tech Ranch community is this idea that the wisdom of the crowd is really where answers are to the startup needs that you have. So yeah, I would just want to echo what Monica said, because it was right in line. And to their credit, it's just amazing. It's a beautiful city. The Czech Republic is a beautiful country. In a little bit, I might even throw up some of the slides just so you see some of the architecture, both in Brno and in Prague. We'll save that for a little bit after we go through the companies and stuff like that. And if you're interested, it's just it's a very beautiful engineering culture as well. One of my friends who runs one of the companies in Norway, in Oslo, that has been voted now, I think for 5 years, the most innovative company in all of Norway, just opened an office in Brno. And so part of what we want to make sure we say before we get into the companies, yeah, we're going to help these companies gain access to the US market. But part of the other thing that the community should be looking at is that, just like my friend Bent, I call him Ben, his name properly in Norwegian is Bent Hammer, from a company called Itera, just opened an office there. And so part of, as you think about Brno and you think about what's the power of a venture bridge, let's make sure that we presence this idea that a venture bridge goes both directions. A venture bridge, and when we say both directions, I don't mean just Austin to Brno and Brno to Austin. I mean Austin to Oslo to Brno to Austin to someplace else in the world. I mean, that's part of the value of this type of thinking. Monica Paredes, I'll let you know that we're going to go ahead and hop into these companies. We also have a couple of the entrepreneurs that might talk about their ventures as we go through them. I'm going to ask Monica Paredes and I to toss back and forth a little bit of the companies. If she's up for it, give me a thumbs up if you are. Yep, cool.
Yeah, perfect. Fine.
How about this? Since I think that you knew more about the compromato business, let me have you start with these two, if you're game for that.
First, I wanted to say hello to David Nichols and Michael Gloger of Mebster, who are on the call, because that's really great that they're there. Hi, Michael. Hi, David. It's really cool. I was going to go through the second day. If you can give me a minute on the compromato notes, can I start with the second day with Runecast and?
Yeah, of course. Whatever you'd like to do.
And Cap. Yeah, let me just give an overview of some of the really amazing technologies that we saw on Wednesday, the 27th. Runecast is a company that allows CISOs and security teams to automatically identify, assess, and manage, remediate vulnerabilities all through one single platform. It was really, really impressive. We saw Whalebone that offers zero disruption cybersecurity to telco ISPs. PlasmaSolve is the only platform that actually designs and optimizes plasma-powered processes and equipment. Mebster, who's on the call right now, hopefully he'll talk about his exoskeleton for people with spinal injuries. Safetica was a company that protects companies against insider threats, which was really, really impressive, and offers data loss protection, supporting regulatory compliance particularly. We were impressed by a company named SmartLook. They actually analyze user behavior, and they've got a lot of traction and customers right now and are really preparing to scale. Those are just kind of an overview, and I know Kevin's going to talk a little bit more about it. But I have so many notes, Kevin, from different companies, and Comprimato is not at the top at the moment. It's just, it was on a separate day, so I have it on a different sheet of paper. I'll look for it while you fill in.
Yeah, Comprimato, one of the things that they do is a lot of times when I'm going to probably use the incorrect words because I'm not an expert in the field, but when you spool a lot of video, like when you have a lot of video that you're presenting from one place to another, you need to compress it in a certain way, and they have a whole service for compressing the video and getting it to different destinations very quickly. In fact, it's surprising. We heard a little bit about them as Monica. I'm going to say Monica V, so I don't mispronounce her last name. Monica V was actually saying to us about a lot of it's amazing the engineering culture that you have in the Czech Republic. We saw this, in Brno, we saw this in Prague. Comprimato is, as an example, has some of the best video encoding technology in the world. And part of what they're doing is they're doing extremely well, and they're on a growth curve that looks like this, on just deploying their technology for helping video get from one place to another in a very scalable way, kind of B2B kind of way. So that's a very informal, and part of what we'll do is in each one of these companies, we will have profiles that we're going to ask the companies themselves to refine and share and stuff like that. There was one other one that I know was kind of a favorite of yours, Monica Paredes, Capnetics. Did you want to say anything about those guys?
Yeah, they have this amazing technology in its original business of empowering with AI technologies, but they've created this mocap software that actually cleans up the motion capture, taking something that usually lasts between 2 to 3 weeks, I believe, of cleaning up one piece of video that of movement, and then getting it down to a day or something like that. It's really, really quite impressive. They're looking for a co-founder that'll kind of take them into the gaming industry here in the US. And we have a really deep network of gaming, particularly here. So I feel like this is a company we can really help.
Yeah, so here's an example. This video is not perfect, but hopefully if you can see it, they were comparing the motion on one side that was captured by their algorithms versus the cleaning it up. And right now here it shows, you can see where the problems were. The AI recognizes that this is a person dribbling a basketball for a game, and there's an issue here that if we play it one more time, just because I think it's really interesting how it does this. When the left hand goes behind the individual to pass the ball behind that, the original motion capture loses that information. And like Monica was saying, their AI takes a process that would be a cleanup that a trained individual would take 1 week to 2 weeks to clean up, and gets it down to an hour. Really powerful stuff. So they are looking for a co-founder because this is a spin out of their AI consulting company And so we'll hear more about them very soon, just because we'll be working with them. So we've gone through those companies. What I want to do is we'll get rid of the slides for a second. Actually, no, we won't. We'll go back to Mebster. Since Mahal, although he told me I could call him Mike, if you're still here, why don't you tell us a little bit more about how Mebster supports, individuals that have had spinal cord injury overcome that. I have like a really quick picture, and he might actually have an even better one that you're welcome to share if you'd like to. But this is he did some demonstrations of his prosthetic that you attach to an individual has an application. Tell us about it, Michael, since you'll do a definitely better job.
Hey, Kevin. Thank you for having me. So maybe I can present. I can share the screen. Not sure. Can I share the screen? Yeah. So basically, I share the screen now. Well, so the system which we developed, can you see that? I'm sharing the system which we developed.
Good, yeah.
Yeah, it's fully passive. That's sometimes quite a surprise for the patients we are working with, because they are usually asking us like, where is the actuator, where is the motor? Because even though it's fluid passive solution, they actually can walk even though they are completely paralyzed from waist down, and that's achieved by the very smart way of connecting an ankle joint with an contralateral hip joint. So basically, when they lean forward, they create a torque in ankle joint. This torque is transferred contralaterally, and they swing the contralateral leg. That's the way how they walk. And this system we patented, and we created such a smart medial, quite modular and lightweight construction, which the people after spinal cord injury can wear themselves completely independently, and they do not need any assistance. Medial construction is made such a way that they can wear it by themselves directly from the wheelchair, and as I said, without any assistance. We have basically two versions. One is Unilexa Prime, that's the version for rehabilitation centers. It's fully adjustable solution, so they can use it with a wide range of the patients, of the clients. And then we have customized patient-specific medical device, Unilexa Home for home use, which is specifically for that particular patient or client. The device itself has a sensor subsystems inside, and the data are sent to our mobile application. So the physiotherapists, they can see the progress of patients in time, like if they are walking faster, or if the symmetry of gait is better, and so on, such a way they can actually assess if there is any progress. And of course, for the patients, it's nice because as I'm using the tracker and I'm competing on Strava, then they can actually compete, like who does the more steps, who walks more, and that's the way how we want to motivate them to actually stand up and walk. So basically, we are trying to tackle two main problems here. One problem is lack of caregivers, lack of physiotherapists. A lot of new cases of spinal cord injuries, but not only spinal cord injuries, and there are many other indications which leads to or conditions which leads to a complete or incomplete paralysis of lower limbs, and there is a growing number of such cases. On the other hand, as I said, there is a lack of caregivers. We say that with this solution, if this device is in rehabilitation center, one physiotherapist can basically work at once with 2 or 3 patients, because they are able to wear the device by themselves, they are able to stand up, walk, and they just have the, I would say, tablet or some other device to monitor the progress. So it's quite efficient, and can make the physiotherapy or rehabilitation much more efficient in quite cost-effective way. And the second thing is intensity. you know, because it's not enough to go to rehabilitation center, to physical rehabilitation for half an hour, 1 hour, you know, to stand up, to walk there. You should continue home. And that's why we brought, you know, Lexa home to intensify this training. And so the patient can get the device home and can continue in the rehabilitation and can improve much faster, because only with intensity there is an effect, you know, through to neuroplasticity and so on. There is it's scientifically proven that if it's not intensive enough, if it's not repetitive enough, then it's for nothing. That's very important and a key for the rehabilitation. So that's what we do. Thank you very much. It was really nice to meet you in Brno. It was a nice opportunity, especially now that in a few days I'm leaving to US to several states there. So I hope to meet you in Austin as well.
So, by the way, go ahead and tell us, you said that you're going to be in 3 different cities, right? Which cities are going to be in, roughly what dates?
I'm starting in Phoenix, then I changed the schedule, then I continue to California, to San Jose and San Francisco, and then I'm flying to Austin. And
Got it.
yeah.
And do you have like if you have a way that like on the screen, while we still have you on the screen, do you have something you can just share? How do people get a hold of you? Is there contact information that you can just put on the screen really quick? Maybe on one of the pages there, just so if someone wants to individually catch up with you, what's the best way for them to do so?
Yes.
There we are. Perfect.
Yeah, here is the website. Here is the email. You know, smile@mapster.com. It's easy to remember. And if you want to call us, it's the Czech number. But yeah, that's it.
Perfect. So you know, and obviously, if anyone hears this, whether it's through the LinkedIn or on the when this posts out to YouTube, we'd love, you know, we at Tech Ranch would love to know that you actually connect in with Michael, but please contact him directly. The most important stuff that I saw, if you've ever had a friend or a family member recovering from spinal cord injury, it's a really difficult thing, right? It's a really difficult thing. And Michael's engineers have come up with a, you know, low cost but really supportive way of doing that high level of intensity for doing that. This is exactly why the network exists and why these venture bridges are so important, and why we look for partnerships with organizations like the JIC that focus on what we call impact innovation, technology that solves some human need. And it's really cool to see. Michael, thank you for coming on today. Yeah, because I've had 2 family members and 1 friend that struggled after injury, you know, severe injury, with getting back up to even just basic walking, and just, you know, holding themselves up on you know, parallel bars is just, it's hard compared to the device that Michael's come up with and his team has come up with. So part of what we'll do is we'll make sure that that you have access to the Slack channels as well, so you can get support from the community. But thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Kevin.
Cool. Well, I know we've got so much that we've gone over. I kind of wanted to make sure that there's some time for questions and stuff like that. We kind of got a sense of Brno, the JIC, then more generally the Czech Republic. One of the cool things that JIC is leading, that Monica V mentioned earlier, was there's 8 different regions across the Czech Republic for innovation regions. They are coordinating some activities in the coming weeks. Monica, you might even mention that where they're coordinating the innovation activities across the country, the Czech Republic. When is that activity, Monica or Zuzana?
You mean the festival? Or...
Yeah, there's like innovation. You're bringing all eight regions together.
Yeah, it's a network of innovation agencies from the Czech Republic, and we have a kind of yearly event, and this time it will be in
26th.
I think
26th and
it's the-
27th
Yeah, 26th and
26th and
27th.
27th of
May.
May. Got it. I
Of
knew it was
May.
coming soon. Yeah, and so Monica Paredes and I got to go to one of the Bohemian Innovation Center, which is right outside of Prague as well, and talk about what JIC, the leadership that JIC is doing. JIC is, for one region around Brno. There's another one called the Bohemian Innovation Center. There's another one actually in Prague proper. But what's interesting for the individuals or the companies that might be watching that are doing innovation shopping, a lot of the community that we have that watches, like these larger corporations are always like looking over our shoulder to say, okay, what shiny objects do you have? Like what type of stuff? One of the things to be aware of is JIC will have, there will be some publishing around that as well on the 26th and the 27th of May. What else have we missed? Are there questions in the community that anyone would like to ask?
Did you talk about the U.S. Embassy, Kevin?
We mentioned briefly the U.S. Embassy, that the embassy funded this activity. In fact, Monica Paredes and I got to go to on Thursday of this, actually Friday of this last week, the embassy, along with the Czech Republic or delegates from the Czech Republic and the acting ambassador, celebrated the 77th anniversary of the Czech Republic, or the Czechoslovakia, I should say, being liberated from the Nazis. And so we got to do that as well. That is a blog post it was just by accident that our meetings happened to be timed up like that. I felt very fortunate for that. But on top of that, the U.S. Embassy in Prague, it made me proud to say, hey, this is cool to see what our official U.S. State Department is doing. They sponsored this program. Monica, what are the other things that should be brought out about those conversations? Anything else you'd like to say about that?
Yeah, Monica and Susanna were also there representing the accelerators and our mutual efforts. What I found really interesting is that they had been asked about IP and how they were structuring that with other companies, and they weren't really sure, and they're really curious about how the entrepreneurs were handling it with the university. So interested enough to write a cable back to Washington about some of our discoveries and some opportunities, which was really exciting.
Yeah, no, it's interesting just because given the heavy emphasis in engineering abilities in the Czech Republic, there is quite a lot of intellectual property there that it's exciting to see that the entrepreneurs are commercializing that, and also the activities that in this venture bridge supported by the U.S. Embassy in Prague are going to be actively engaging around that set of concerns. It was great to see the commercial officer bring that up and take activity towards it. So I know that there are a lot of other stuff we'd like to say. We have just a little bit more time if there are other questions or other points that Susanna, Monica Paredes, that y'all like to share, or Michael or David Nichols, who is we heard from last week. If there's any other things that y'all like to input or questions from the studio audience. I've been looking back and forth at the LinkedIn. I don't know if we have questions that are happening there as well, but certainly we'll do some follow-up as well concerning this. But if anyone can see other questions about that, please do. David Nichols is mentioning, I'd love to hear more about the liberation celebrations in Prague. Monica Paredes, what was your experience of what happened?
Susanna had mentioned, like, I was smiling the entire time because the way the US was represented was a convoy of Jeeps, just lines and lines and lines of Jeeps, and just celebrating the liberation. They had a band there. They were playing all kinds of music from that time period. And I captured a few videos of the presentation, just thanking the allies for their support, and that we continue fighting for democracy and freedoms and rights. And this was just a celebration. What was interesting is Christina said that usually they'll do like a big celebration every like anniversary or quarter, but they do one annually for this liberation celebration, which was really fascinating. I don't know if they do Jeeps every time, but it was great to see.
Yeah, it was really meaningful as an American to hear that the Czech celebrate this every year versus just every 4 years, as Monica's saying, just because. In the square, the town square that we were in at the time, surrounded by Ukrainian flags, gave a deeper meaning to what it is to be liberated and standing for freedom. And so, I think that that's one of the things that our network and our community our Tech Ranch community represents as well, is open societies, free markets, entrepreneurship, personal autonomy. Those type of things I think are really important. It was great to see Monica Paredes, who just bought a Jeep for her son, to just be giggling about getting to see all the Jeeps. And these were Jeeps, these were World War II era Jeeps. So, there's definitely history in each one of them. So that was
and none of them stalled in the parade. I was waiting to see if anyone start and stop, but all of them went. They all still move.
All the drivers were in character. They were dressed in character as soldiers, as well as there were a few women that were actually dressed up as soldiers, but there were also women dressed up in outfits from that era as well. It's really quite a celebration, and I felt very fortunate to get a chance to watch, and it really put like a deeper meaning on all the things that we see happening in the world right now, especially with the conflict that's happening in Ukraine. So, well, with that, I will do this. I will say thank you again to our partners at the JIC, and thank you again to the U.S. Embassy in Prague for making this type of work possible. And this first step, my only regret was that I didn't get to spend more time in Brno. And just for personal reasons, I needed to get back to Austin a little quicker than I would have preferred. But I've already made a commitment that within the next year and a half, I'm going to spend at least 2 weeks there. So I just know that there's enough stuff to see, both culturally, as well as just the level of talent and expertise and brilliant and intellectual property, especially that is concerned with not just business, but things that impact innovation, technology that solves real needs. So I know that let's see, before we close up, let me make sure I open up the chat, because it got closed up. I know we have a couple of people that are in the audience that I always like doing a shout out. So right before I close up, usually I don't get to see Emmanuel's face, but I'd love to hear from one of our doctor entrepreneurs in Nigeria, if he has a moment to actually say something. Emmanuel, welcome, join us. Tell us just like 1 minute really quick. How's it going in Lagos? Tell us about the venture that you're running, and so that everyone else has kind of a sense of, that this is not just Central Europe, but we've got the activities happening in Africa. Thank you for being here. Just give us a minute really quick. What's happening?
Okay, thanks very much, Kevin. So yeah, a lot is happening over here. I'm still currently in my clinic, but there's no client since we've closed about an hour ago. So basically, I run Inoculate. What we do is to help families prevent diseases. So we're in the front line combating infectious diseases by increasing access to vaccination. Also, we now leverage the technology to help other health facilities manage immunization processes using a software which we call Calva. It's a solution we are currently working to take globally. So we just don't administer vaccine. Now we are bringing technology into the immunization service providers to help them manage their processes, and also to help patients have access to their records from the tap of a button. That's one thing we're currently solving here in Nigeria and Africa, and trying to take that global. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, thank you for being here. One of the things that's always been most moving about, I mean, I am very fortunate to get to hear from entrepreneurs around the world. Whenever I need inspiration and whenever I kind of like, I'm up against my own difficult times about being an entrepreneur here, I've actually sometimes listened to Emmanuel and different situations, different things. He's truly, him and his team are truly driving change with, especially what they do with getting vaccinations to mothers and children that might get exposed to different diseases that are completely preventable. And so it's one of the most inspirational things. Last year for my birthday, I, instead of asking for another bottle of tequila, which I always love, but hey, instead of doing that, I took donations on Facebook, and those donations went to our nonprofit, which is called the Inter-American Education Consortium. And Emmanuel and his company are the recipients of those funds. It's $1,000. So, hopefully meaningful for the mission about what he's up to. But $1,000 went to Emmanuel and his company to extend the reach of the technology and the vaccines that they're bringing to the people in that part of Nigeria. And so one of the things I just want to make sure that I say is a lot of times when people don't realize the reach that we have, we as a community, not just TechCrunch, but we as a community, for really driving activities. And it could be, as an example, I talked to several entrepreneurs in Brno, as an example, that have tools that could be useful there. Like there was an entrepreneur that had a solution based out of Brno for dealing with the eyes, about making sure that if you have conditions that are going to lead to blindness out of diabetes or glaucoma and things like that, a way of recognizing that. So part of what we'll be doing is doing those kind of connections as well. Emmanuel, you're an inspiration. Thank you for, you make my job look really freaking easy. And so thank you for being there, because you're an inspiration to me. And that being said, too, I'll go ahead and do a shout out that since my birthday is coming, no, I don't want any gifts, but I will be running a Facebook fundraising activities, and specifically to help another entrepreneur like Emmanuel, June 15th. So it'll be on Facebook. We'll post it out through this stuff, but I'm really happy. It's the most meaningful gift that I can get to actually hear about the good work of something like what Dr. Emmanuel Iboko, sorry, I always screw up. Monica V, it's not just your last name. I screw up Emmanuel's last name as well. All right, well, I tell you what, we're gonna go ahead and start wrapping up. For those of you all that are hearing about the TechCrunch community and you want to get connected in to things, get on our newsletter. If you're involved with a specific country in the world, we have a place for country managers to announce herself. We haven't launched that program yet. We're about to, based on some refinements that Monica Paredes helped me with while we're on the trip. We're going to be doing that very soon. And so please sign up either as a country manager, if you have entrepreneurial scar tissue that you'd like to donate as a mentor to other entrepreneurs around the world, make sure you sign up there as well, because we'd like to get you on the list. The newsletter is there as well. We're announcing, we're bringing another marketing person to keep on publishing out these newsletters to share the inspirational stories about what's happening around the world. And with that, it's always an honor to be a part of a community of entrepreneurs that are driven by vision and values, and to have great partners like the JIC in Brno. Thank you, Monica. Thank you, Susanna. Thank you, Monica Paredes, for going on that trip. It was great to have you there. And the network is still early on, and it's with the polish that's happening with people like you just met, Monica Paredes, Monica V, Susanna, inspirational entrepreneurs like Dr. Emmanuel that are making this happen. And let's just keep on doing it. Let's go change the world for the better together. Thank you all.